comparison of the Smart Carb versus the Lectron versus the Mikuni with the JD Jet kit today. 2019 KTM 300 XC has the 36 Smart Carb. 2018 Husqvarna TX 300 has a Lectron, and the 2018 TE 300 has a Mikuni with the JD Jet kit. So we're going to do some comparisons on these three bikes, see what they feel like, see where the value lies. Yeah, do some carb comparisons today as well. Woo! Gonna be doing a comparison today. Went out and did some riding, just got back. Bikes are still dirty. Gonna be doing comparison on the Lectron Carb versus the Smart Carb 2 versus my buddy's bike who's not here. He took it home. It's a 2018 TE 300 with a Mikuni Carb and a JD Jetting kit. This is a 2019 XC 300 with the Smart Carb 2 36 millimeter. This is my old bike that my wife started riding and fell in love with, so now it's sprung and waited for her. It's an Lectron Carb, and have spent a lot of time on this bike, done some races on this bike, and gonna just be doing some comparison. I've got about 40 hours now on this Smart Carb. It's the second Smart Carb that I had. The first one I had some issues. Sent it back to Smart Carb, got a second carb, and have had this second Smart Carb on this 300 XC now for about 40 hours. So I've done some significant testing, ridden this bike a ton with the Lectron on it, and I've ridden this bike a ton with the Smart Carb on it. And I've also had, in the previous times, I've had a 17 XCW with the Mikuni Carb and a JD Jetting kit. Rode my buddy's bike significantly with the JD Jetting kit and the Mikuni Carb. And just gonna do a back-to-back comparison versus price, versus performance, versus what's the best option out there. Just my personal experience and preference. And so gonna kind of be comparing them all three against each other, and doing a little ride review as well in this video. So hope you enjoy, and hope it gives you some information on what might be the best option versus performance versus price and all that stuff. I don't have to spend a bunch of time on this bike because it used to be mine, but it's nice to do just a back-to-back comparison at the same time. But it feels exactly like I remember it with the Lectron, and man, super smooth linear power, but just nice to do the back-to-back test and just see what they're like. And so I've got the 19 300XE, the 18 TX 300. The only bike missing here that we rode today and tested was my buddy's 2018 TE 300. Has the Mikuni Carb. And for today's test, in all the testing that we did and the stuff we rode and all my experiences previously having all these setups now for quite some time and putting a lot of time on them, I'm going to go ahead and say that for the price point, the Mikuni with the JD jetting kit comes in first place. And the reason that is because, man, this carb right here, this is $725 with shipping. The Smart Carb 2 36 millimeter. This carb with shipping and all that, from wherever you decide to buy it, is probably in the $550 to $600 range. The JD jetting kit for a stock Mikuni is $79, $89. Man, that is an absolute steal. And I honestly forgot how good the Mikuni with the JD jetting kit was until I rode it again yesterday and pushed it hard. I have to be 100% honest when I say this. That Mikuni ran every bit as well in the elevation and temperature and everywhere we were at riding yesterday. That Mikuni pulled every bit as hard as the Smart Carb 2, if not a little bit harder in the mid-range. And so in these three, the testing of these three bikes and these three setups, man, that JD jetting kit comes in first place. Number one, because, man, it feels almost identical to a $700 carb with just a JD jetting kit, and it has a little bit more torque and mid-range pull than the Lectron did. And so for me, the price point, man, the JD jetting kit on a Mikuni is just a really, really good setup, man. I've also ridden it on the Kian, but on a Mikuni, man, you can't go wrong with trying out that kit. I guess they got the gas block seal now. Haven't tried that, but man, that'll probably even make it better. And so I've ridden the JD jetting kit. I've ridden it with the setting to the 5,000 to 10,000 foot elevation trail setting. I've ridden it from Moab all the way up to Sargent's. I did the Shady Burrow Enduro on that setup, the JD jetting kit, and when I started to get up to about 10,500, 11,000 foot elevation, I did get some gargling on the JD jetting kit, and so you would have to adjust it. But for 3,500 foot elevation all the way up to nearly 11,000 foot elevation, I didn't have to adjust that thing. It was just spot on, man. It ran really, really well for an $89 investment, man. I would have to say that I would definitely go with the JD jetting kit. To be honest with you, the stock jetting on the Mikuni is pretty great as well, if you can just get it dialed in, but you will have to change jets. Some people don't want to do that, but I can't say enough good about that JD jetting kit. The Mikuni gets a lot of heat, people saying it's a terrible carb. I've had them now on, I can't countless amount of these bikes I've ridden them on the newer model, 17, 18, and 19 KTMs and Huskies. And I think with a little bit of adjustment, I think it makes, I think it really actually can be a really, really great carb, especially just installing the JD jetting kit. If you don't want to mess around with it and you just want to have something simple and basic and install it and ride your elevation within a few thousand feet on either side of it and not have to adjust it, man, I think it's spot on. If I would have put the specs on the JD jetting kit when I did that Shady Burrow, if I would have put the one step up, maybe I think it's like the 7500 to 12.5 or something setting on the JD jetting kit, I don't think I would have had any issues whatsoever. It just has run really, really well for me all over the place. In fact, I actually went down to Texas with a stock Mikuni and the JD jetting kit on my 17 XCW 300, and I did that Mikuni JD jetting kit at 5,000 to 10,000 foot elevation for trail riding, and I went down to Texas at the Caprock Canyon Enduro, and I didn't have one issue with my jetting, not one issue. The whole entire time I was there, it ran spot on. So for the price, do I think that the Smart Carb 2 36 millimeter, I've had 2 of them, do I think it's worth the price of what you get? It's sure a good looking carb, but it's been problematic for me. Do I think it's worth $700? Man, honestly, I don't think it's worth $700. I just don't think it's worth that $700 price range. And then coming over to the Lectron, do I think this is worth the $500, $550, $600? Man, that's a hard one because I haven't had any issues with the Lectrons that I've had. They've been spot on good. They've been really, really good. But it's still $550, $600 for one of these, man. They're expensive, or somewhere in that price range. I'd have to look up again. But man, it's been good, so I just can't fault this thing. It hasn't given me any problems. The other one didn't give me any problems in all the hours I had it as well. So really, it's just a price point thing here. Do I think it's worth the $500 or the $600 that it costs, and having to change out the throttle tube, and having to, if you did need to make adjustments, taking off the top of your carb and messing around with it? Do I think that it's worth it? Man, comparatively to the Mikuni with the JD jetting kit, I gotta be honest with you, I don't think it's worth it. I think the Mikuni with a JD jetting kit, if you're gonna be in a certain elevation of riding, I honestly think it's really, really good. I think it's gonna really meet the needs of 90% of the people out there. If you're not doing high alpine single track stuff in Colorado where it's getting really, really cold in the evening, and then you're down low elevation, you know, the next day, maybe you want to go for something different with a Lectron or a Smart Carb. But man, I'll be honest with you, from everything I've ever, all my experiences I've had with the Lectron, man, it's been so good. But I have heard that some people have to adjust it, man, when they get down to sea level. And for sure, there's no question, just in my experience, I have definitely had to adjust the Smart Carb too. I have had to adjust it just at my elevation, going a couple thousand feet up or a couple thousand feet down. So I definitely had to make that leaner or richer, and it's had to be extreme. I had to go kind of the extreme side of leaner just to get that thing to run right and not spooge all over my bike and my brakes and my swing arm. So definitely price point for what I think. Smart Carb 2 comes in third place, man. The Lectron, based on price, performance, all that, comes in second place. And in first place is the Mikuni with the JD jetting kit, man. For the price point, you can't beat the JD jetting kit. It just is good, and it runs well. And so many people have had so many great success stories with it all over the years. So that's my experience pitting these 3 bikes together yesterday. Man, I'll tell you, I would 100% recommend the JD jetting kit over the Smart Carb 2 or the Lectron. Try it first, see what you think. Get it set to their specs and ride it. And if you need it, get the jet block gasket that they are now selling as well. Some people are saying that they're having issues with the Mikuni leaking on the jet block gasket. Get that O-ring and that gasket and see if that makes a difference before you go out and spend $725 on a carb, man, or $500 to $600 on a carb. Try the JD jetting kit, man. It is pretty awesome, and yesterday really solidified it for me. When I pitted them back to back to back, I was thoroughly impressed with the JD jetting kit, and that would be my first option. Guys, I really hope it helps. I hope if you're looking for some carb options and you've got a 17, 18, or 19 KTM with the stock carb, and you're looking to do some jetting changes, man, or even just an older bike, maybe a 13 or 12 or 10, you know, 300 or 250 with a key in, and you want to do some adjustment, man, try the JD kit. Try it. It's pretty awesome, man. It's incredible. So try it and see what you think for yourself. But versus spending $700 to see, I mean, I've had quite a few people tell me that they've had issues with Lectron. I've had quite a few people tell me that they've had issues with the Smart Carb too, and the old Smart Carb. So my personal experiences, the Lectron is pretty dang good. The Smart Carb has given me some hiccups and some issues. The JD jetting kit is, for the price point, spot on good. So I really do hope that helps if you're looking to make some adjustments to your carb and get the thing to run really, really well. I hope that helps, and I hope you have yourselves a great day. Thanks a lot, and take care. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Have a great day. My only real issue with running it leaner, they sent me the second one with a leaner metering rod, and the bike is still always ran really rich. I think I'm at 15 clicks leaner now, and it's still just puking out a bunch of oil, always has. I've got a 15 clicks leaner now, and it's puking oil out all over my brake caliper, all over my wheel. It gets oil all over the swing arm back here as well. You can see just drips oil, and just has a gobs of oil that goes all the way down the pipe, not just kind of down the pipe. I mean, it comes off, and then you can see that it drips there. So 15 clicks leaner, and it's still doing that. At the stock settings, it was coming out there unbelievably bad. You can almost actually see it running out. So that's my experience with that. With the Smart Carb 2 on this 300 XC. It is a pricey carb. It's something that not everybody wants to spend the money on, and I can completely understand that. I just wanted to do some testing and try it out and see what my thoughts were versus the Lectron, versus the Mikuni with the JD jetting kit. Practical solutions for people to see what would be a good option. A lot of people don't want to spend the money on Lectron. A lot of people do spend the money on Lectron, and Smart Carb is just another option. So going to kind of be comparing these three against each other. So comparatively, full day of riding yesterday, you can see that the Smart Carb, the spooge, literally runs all the way down the whole entire pipe. Drips here, just drips all over, and drips all over your brake, drips right there on my brake, and as you can see on the rim as well, and you can see it here as well. Comparatively, the Lectron just doesn't have as much spooge. The thing doesn't drain all the way down, leak all over. It does have some spooge, but it's just not as much. And it did leak on the brake caliper here as well. So there is that. And then comparatively, my buddy Steve's bike's not here, the TE300 2018, but that had a little bit of spooge. And I think I have it in the video, but it wasn't near as much spooge even as the Lectron, and definitely not as much spooge as a Smart.